No matter where you live in the Midwest, you've likely dealt with the impacts of hail, and Nebraska Extension is a trusted source for information on crop production and hail damage. Following a hailstorm, the decision to replant can be a difficult one. What you should do is not always clear. Your decisions may depend on economics, plant stand, crop and field conditions, weather forecast, and calendar date, among other things. Hail is a problem no matter when it happens, but it can cause the most uncertainty in late May through June. It's important to assess current plant stand and yield potential before making an informed replant decision.
So after a hail event that occurs early in the year, we really need to assess, do we keep our original stand or do we replant it? The first thing we need to understand is the growing points and the vulnerability of those growing points in corn and soybeans. In corn, the growing point is below ground prior to V6, so corn plants that are cut off at V4, for example, are likely going to be able to grow back. In the case of soybeans, we have multiple growing points. For example, a V2 plant or a plant with one trifoliate, you have actually two growing points at the cotyledon, two growing points at the unifoliate leaves, and a growing point for each trifoliate. So if a plant that's cut off above the cotyledons, you still have two growing points. So you definitely need to treat both crops differently and look at that. And we need to know those growing point vulnerabilities and where those growing points are at. So when we go in and assess our stand, maybe 5 to 7 days later, we need to determine how many surviving plants we have. And then looking at those amount of surviving plants, look at when that crop was planted, surviving plants, and how does that compare if we were to replant the crop at a later date but end up with more plants. And so there are yield potential tables that look at that complexity between planting date and plant population in terms of potential yield, and then we can use that information to make decisions on whether we need to replant or not.
Weather influences seedling survival and recovery. Cool, wet conditions following the storm may increase disease susceptibility and require you to delay plant assessment. Seed availability may affect your decision to replant. Earlier maturing hybrids or varieties may or may not be available. Contact your seed sales representative. For selecting corn hybrids, the U2U tool can help determine if a hybrid will reach maturity before the average first killing frost. If replanting soybeans after mid-June, consider a half a unit earlier maturing variety compared to what's normally planted in your area. Many other factors should be considered when making a replant decision, such as previous herbicide applications, planting an alternative crop, removal of an existing crop, previous fertilizer applications, and fixed costs. Time restraints may make custom planting a viable option. Visit the Farm and Ranch Management website for information on custom rates. There are many factors to consider when making the decision to replant following a hailstorm. For more information on replanting considerations following a hailstorm, contact Nebraska Extension or visit us online.